begins with a moment so still, so ordinary, you might miss it. A man sits alone in a quiet room. Papers lie scattered around him, the air thick with questions too large for language. He breathes, he thinks, and then his hands come together, not clasped, not clenched, just the fingertips touching gently, forming a perfect triangle in the space between. This man is Albert Einstein, but he is not the only one. Look closely at a bronze statue of the meditating Buddha, eyes lowered in serene concentration. The same gesture appears. Watch closely as Oprah Winfrey prepares herself before walking onto a stage. Or when Steve Jobs, clad in black, stands before the world to reveal something revolutionary. Again, the gesture returns. Again, the triangle forms. It is not scripted. No one tells them to do it. And yet, they all arrive at the same shape. That shape has a name, Hakini Mudra. And while its presence seems quiet, even accidental, it is neither. What looks like an unconscious movement is, in truth, something far older than any of the figures who perform it. It is a relic, a code, a sacred technology passed through time, not by force, but by intuition. Because deep down, the body remembers what the mind forgets. In ancient traditions, especially those born from the yogic and tantric lineages of India, the body was never seen as separate from the spirit. It was a vessel, not merely to house the soul, but to speak its truths. Gestures, then, were not meaningless. They were mudras, sacred postures of the hands, each carrying intention, energy, and power. To form a mudra was to speak without speaking, to direct the current of life force, prana, like a river being shaped by its banks. Among these mudras, Hakini stands out, not because it is the most dramatic, but because it is the most deceptively simple. 5 fingers meet 5 fingers, no grandeur, no spectacle. But between them, a center forms, a stillness arises. And for those who know how to listen, something unlocks. The Hakini Mudra doesn't just appear in meditation halls or spiritual rituals. It emerges in boardrooms, classrooms, therapy sessions, courtrooms, and moments of deep reflection. Wherever there is a need for clarity, balance, or decision, the body seems to reach for it, as if guided by something deeper than logic. It is the gesture of the wise, the contemplative, the poised, not because it changes the world around them, but because it changes how they meet the world within. What is it about this gesture that speaks to so many across such vast distances of time and culture? Why does it appear in moments of creation, transformation, and truth? The answer lies not only in history or faith, but in the very design of human consciousness, woven into the nervous system, encoded in the energy centers of the body, and reflected in the geometry of the universe itself. This is not merely a tale of hands meeting in space. It is a story of intelligence awakening, of stillness becoming strength, of a gesture passed silently from one seeker to another, across time, waiting for us to remember. Long before psychology gave us the language of cognition, and long before science mapped the regions of the brain, ancient civilizations spoke of energy centers, vortices of power within the human body, unseen yet deeply felt. They did not need MRIs to know the mind could be expanded. They simply observed what was already there: breath, silence, sensation, and the sacred geometry of the body. At the heart of this knowledge stood the chakras, 7 primary energy wheels aligned from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. And among them, the 5th chakra, Vishuddha, resided at the throat. It governed more than speech. It was the gate of truth, clarity, and creative expression. And it was here that Hakini Devi dwelled. Not just a name, not just a symbol. Hakini is a goddess of awakening. In Hindu tantric texts, she is described as a luminous force, seated upon a white lotus, eyes radiant with insight. She is the embodiment of inner voice, that still, unwavering presence that speaks when we are brave enough to listen. The Hakini Mudra is named in her honor. In sacred art, she is often depicted with her hands in this very position, fingertips pressed gently together, creating an invisible triangle of power between the palms. It is a gesture of balance, of alignment, of calling one's scattered energies back into the center. But this gesture is not just symbolic. It was believed to activate the Vishuddha chakra, bringing purification to thought and speech, sharpening the edge between emotion and expression. Those who practiced it regularly were said to gain clearer insight, stronger memory, and the ability to articulate thoughts without distortion. In this way, Hakini Devi wasn't simply a deity to be worshipped, she was a state of being to be realized. The mudra became a vehicle, a ritual of embodiment. To form it was to summon her clarity, to align oneself with the frequency of discernment and insight. It's no accident that this same mudra reappears in modern moments of contemplation, in the silence before a decision, in the breath before a speech, in the stillness before a leap of faith. Though most have never heard her name, Hakini continues to speak through the fingers of those who unknowingly call her forth in search of focus, vision, and inner order. And the triangle they form, thumb, index, and middle fingers connected, is more than mere shape. It is a portal. In ancient cosmology, the triangle symbolizes convergence of body, mind, and spirit, of past, present, and future, of thought, word, and action. It is the geometry of transformation. Each time the mudra is formed, a circuit is completed, not only between the fingers, but within the self, from chaos to clarity, from noise to stillness, from confusion to knowing. To form the Hakini Mudra is to remember a truth buried under modern noise. That wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. And the hands, long before they built cities or wrote books, were always capable of listening. For centuries, the power of mudras lived in the realm of the mystical, transmitted through sacred texts, passed from guru to student, believed in by those who trusted in unseen energy. But today, something remarkable is happening. Modern neuroscience is catching up. The ancient wisdom of the body is being confirmed, not by belief, but by data. It begins in the hands, where thousands of nerve endings gather in quiet anticipation. When you form the Hakini Mudra, bringing the fingertips together, creating a focused, symmetrical structure, your body sends a signal. A signal that doesn't just linger in the skin, but travels deep. Through proprioceptive input, the awareness of your own body's position, and tactile feedback, the sensation of contact between fingertips, the brain is alerted. It becomes attuned, present. And then, something astonishing occurs. Functional magnetic resonance. Imaging fMRI scans reveal that when this mudra is practiced, regions of the brain associated with higher-order thinking begin to light up. Most notably, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of focus, decision-making, and goal-setting. This is where your brain organizes chaos into clarity, where impulse is filtered by logic, where vision is shaped. But even deeper, another region awakens, the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC. Often overlooked, this area governs your ability to monitor internal signals, heartbeat, breath, gut instinct. It is the meeting place of emotion and regulation, the space where fear is calmed, where attention is anchored, and where self-awareness begins. In short, the Hakini Mudra isn't just calming, it is neurologically transformational. Repeated practice has been shown to enhance three key faculties. Focused attention. Practitioners report heightened ability to sustain mental concentration for longer periods with reduced mental chatter. working memory. The mind holds and organizes more information with ease, allowing for quicker learning, better problem solving, and clearer recall. Cognitive flexibility. The brain becomes more agile, more adaptable, able to switch between tasks and perspectives without being overwhelmed. This is not mystical speculation. It's reproducible, documented, real. And perhaps this is why so many influential figures, consciously or not, instinctively adopt this posture. It isn't just comfort, it's instinct. A quiet recognition that in moments of great pressure, the body already knows how to steady the mind. It is in this convergence between ancient wisdom and modern science that the true brilliance of the Hakini Mudra shines, because this isn't about tradition or technology. It's about integration. It's about remembering that your body holds within it the same intelligence that shaped mountains, spun galaxies, and whispered truth through silence. So the next time your fingers touch and you feel the stillness form, know this: you are not simply calming yourself. You are activating an ancient circuit, one that connects physiology, psychology, and the deepest layers of who you are. And if this truth resonates with you, if it stirs something quiet and curious, consider joining us. Subscribe. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. You never know whose mind and hands it might awaken next. The beauty of the Hakini Mudra lies not in its complexity, but in its simplicity. It does not require years of training. It asks for no props, no rituals, no words. Only this, that you pause. In a world consumed by urgency, by notifications and noise, the greatest rebellion may be stillness. And the Hakini Mudra offers you just that, a return to your center. Begin here. Find a space where you will not be interrupted. It need not be a sacred temple. A quiet corner of your room, a shaded bench in a park, even your car seat before a meeting. These will do. Wherever you can be still, even for a few minutes, is sacred. Sit with your spine gently upright. Let your shoulders fall. And then, bring your hands together in front of your chest. Let the fingertips touch, thumb to thumb, index to index, all the way to the pinkies. No force, just contact. Let the palms separate slightly, forming an open, invisible space within, a triangle of intention. Close your eyes, or lower your gaze, and breathe. Inhale deeply, hold for a moment. Exhale slowly. Feel the soft sensation where your fingers meet. Feel the silence between thoughts. And as the breath settles, something else begins to rise. Awareness. In this gesture, the body speaks. Not with language, but with presence. Not with noise, but with knowing. You may feel your thoughts begin to slow, your breath deepen. A quiet clarity begins to emerge, not forced, but allowed. Now take this practice into the rhythm of your life. Let it be more than a morning ritual. Use it before a difficult conversation, to ground your voice. Use it during a stressful workday, to regain mental clarity. Use it before sleep, to release the day's weight and ease into rest. Even 1 minute with this mudra can shift your internal state, like tuning a string on an instrument that has slowly gone off pitch. With time, this simple gesture becomes a silent companion. It won't solve your problems, but it will reorient you so that you face them not from panic, but from presence. And that difference changes everything. In a world that constantly pulls us outward, the Hakini Mudra pulls us inward. It returns us to the breath, to the body, to the truth that stillness is not passive. It is power held in quiet hands. The more often you return to this practice, the more quickly it becomes second nature. And in the moments you need it most, before you speak, before you decide, before you act, it will be there. Not as a tool, but as an extension of who you are when you are fully awake. If you look closely at the Hakini Mudra, you'll see more than hands meeting fingertips. You'll see a shape, a symbol, a blueprint. The triangle, formed between the thumbs, index fingers, and the space between the palms, is no accident. It is one of the oldest and most powerful shapes in sacred geometry. Across cultures, across centuries, the triangle has always signified the convergence of forces, heaven and earth, spirit and matter, body and mind. In Hinduism, it represents Shakti, the feminine creative force, ascending energy. In Buddhism, it mirrors the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. In ancient Egypt, it was embedded into pyramids, believed to channel divine energy from the cosmos into the earth. And in the West, it appears in Christian iconography as the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So when your fingers form a triangle, you're invoking a universal symbol of balance, stability, and transformation. But geometry is not only symbolic, it is energetic. In yogic and tantric traditions, shapes created by the hands are not decorative. They are functional interfaces for redirecting prana, the life force. The triangle, specifically, is seen as a vessel, a container for consciousness. In the Hakini Mudra, the triangle is open, not flat or closed, but ascending and spacious, inviting energy to rise. And above that triangle, 3 fingers, middle, ring, and pinky, extend upward. These are not idle extensions. They are metaphors brought to life. They represent aspiration, expansion, elevation. Imagine a mountain. The triangle is its base, firm, steady, unmoving. But the 3 extended fingers are the peaks, stretching toward the sky, toward insight, toward something greater than the self. In this mudra, the hands tell a story. Root yourself in stillness, then rise. The wisdom encoded in this posture is subtle but profound. It reminds us that true expansion is not chaotic. It is structured, grounded in intention. It teaches that our most powerful thoughts are not formed in haste, but in harmony. And it shows us that the ascent toward clarity begins not in striving, but in alignment. There is a reason this mudra brings balance, because it is balance made visible. A harmony between doing and being, between reaching forward and remaining still. So when you sit with your fingers joined in this way, you're not just performing a gesture. You're building a temple in the space between your hands, a place where your breath becomes prayer, your thoughts become focus, and your awareness becomes sacred. The triangle you form is not separate from you. It is you, refined, poised, and fully present. And in that space, even for a breath or two, the noise of the world fades, and what remains is what's always been there, waiting, silent, certain, whole. We live in a world that celebrates motion, that glorifies speed. We measure success by productivity, purpose by output, value by how much we can do, how fast, how loud, how often. But ancient wisdom, and now modern science, reminds us, stillness is not absence. Stillness is presence magnified. The Hakini Mudra does not demand action. It does not chase meaning. It invites return. Return to breath. Return to center. Return to a knowing that existed before the first thought formed in your mind. In this final moment, look again at your hands, not for what they can grab, but for what they can hold. You have touched thousands of things in your life. Phones, keys, doors, other hands. But how often have you let your hands touch each other with intention, with silence, with awareness? Each time you practice the Hakini Mudra, you're not just engaging fingers, you're engaging memory, a cellular memory that predates words, that knows how to realign, that remembers what the mind forgets in noise. You are whole, you are powerful, you are still. This isn't just a technique for meditation, it's a compass. In stress, it brings calm. In confusion, it brings clarity. In fragmentation, it brings coherence. You do not need to believe in gods or chakras for it to work. You only need to believe in this, that your body has always been wise, that your mind longs for alignment, and that your presence, when fully gathered, is more powerful than any distraction you face. You are not learning the Hakini Mudra. You are remembering it. Because somewhere, at some point, your hands knew this shape, and they've been waiting for you to return. So carry it with you, not as a trick, but as a truth. Use it not just on cushions or during quiet mornings, but in your life, before a meeting, before a conversation, before a choice. The wisdom is already in your hands. You need only listen. If this story touched something in you, share it. Pass it on. Let others remember too. And if you'd like to continue exploring the forgotten technologies of the soul, subscribe. The journey is just beginning.